5 things Europeans get confused about in the United States. Oh, by the way, it's the United States, it's not America. America is 2 different continents spanning from Canada to Tierra del Fuego in Argentina. Number 1, you will see the tax separate from the bill. Why is this? Because we fought an extremely bloody war, the only successful revolution that ever took place, and started the first secular country. This comes from Runnymede in 1215, no taxation without representation. So that the people know what they're getting taxed and know what the percent rate is. It's never going to be added in. Because it's the will of the people. Okay. Number 2. Somebody from Italy comes here, or wherever, from the old country, from Europe, and they run into a DeCavalcanti in Orlando, or Chiesa, or Zadi, Luna, and they say, "Oh, I'm Italian too." Really? Do you speak Italian? No. Well, then how are you Italian? You're an American. Well, because you see, for 100 years, the Italians were treated less than the blacks. And the way that the segregation worked in the North and even in the South, you stuck around, your people, the Italians. And you maintained the culture. So, I saw this one girl get very irritated when she said, "Oh, do you speak Italian?" And the person said no, and she's like, "Well, then you're not Italian, you're an American." Okay, yes, by what, nationhood, I guess, that'd be like saying, "Well, no, you're not Russian, you're, the Soviet Socialist Republic." Or you're not from India, you're from the British Empire. A lot of times these people from poor parts of Italy, or Europe, they didn't have a choice, they had to leave. So yeah, and a lot of times they have connections back to the motherland, and they go back there often. So yes, they are Italian. Their families lived in Italy for 10,000 years, and they just happen to come over here. They have olive skin, they have all the traits of being an Italian. Same thing with the Irish, same thing with the Swedes. The only ones that don't do this are the Anglo-Saxons, the Angles, the English, the Dutch, and to some degree the French. But that's probably one of the most irritating things. No, you're not Italian, you're an American. Well, you have to understand that up until very recently, it was hard to get a job if you were an Italian, or if you were a Catholic, or if you had an ethnic last name. In fact, if you want to hear something really creepy, Harvard will not accept Italians. If you have an Italian last name, people look at you weird and think you're in the mafia. Now, this is coming from somebody who's not an Italian. That's why when people ask me, "What are you?" I don't say I'm from the United States or I'm an American. I say Irish, Argentine, or Argentinian, and Syrian. Because if I were to say I'm an American, that means Iroquois, Chiricahua, Comanche, Apache, Mohawk, various Algonquin people, Potawatomi, Menominee, Crow, Blackfoot, Lakota, Nez Perce, Seminole, Cherokee. So these are explanations for the Europeans. Okay, not understanding the tipping when you go to a restaurant and thinking that people are fake when you go to like a coffee place. Well, you see, the United States works like businesses work on service, and the minimum wage and money is different here. Uh, people are nicer over here because they have to be, because we have to get along. So thinking that it's just, oh, they're just full of shit and they're just playing and acting like they're being nice. No, if you meet somebody from another country, hey, how's it going? How do you like the United States? You know, you're happy to meet them. I've ran into a few French people here and there who were just the most pretentious assholes, and were just like, you know, they came to the United States and they just thought I just pissed in their face by saying, oh, hey, how's it going? You know? Oh, you're new here. Hey, you guys, I got, you know, some extra beers back at my place. You want to come and, you know? Or one of my a girl I was staying with one time, she brought over some people, you know, that her friends knew that came from France, and we cooked dinner and we were sitting down eating, and the pretentiousness, the just jerkiness, the it seems like, at least with this group, the French had no concept of hospitality, of, oh, don't act like a total friggin' jerk to somebody who invited you into their home, and don't comment on, oh, this is shit wine and this and that. Maybe that's just the French. Oh yeah, there was a German guy. I actually asked about, like, oh, isn't there a lot of Turks and Muslims in Europe now? And he goes, oh yeah, but they're just like the Mexicans. You know, nobody cares. They're just, you know, just like those Mexicans. And my last 3 girls have been Mexican, and one of them was not legal. And I thought that was the most bigoted, racist thing. I could not believe how racist many Europeans are, but then they try to claim the United States is racist. If anybody can clear that up for me, please do. But they were just like, they felt that like the Hispanic people that were living in the States were just like shit that should be scraped off the bottom of their shoe. I mean, it really shocked me, because you'd think, you know, Europeans open-minded and all this kind of stuff. All right, peace to you. I think that's only 4, but I'll upload. Maybe I'll find another one. Okay, number 5 that Europeans should know when coming to the United States, or at least talking about it. The right to bear arms. When the Second Amendment was written, it ensured that every citizen had the right to own the most technologically advanced weapon that mankind had ever seen. If you've ever seen Bowling for Columbine, that cartoon, that is completely off. The people who started gun control were pro-slavers that didn't want the newly freed black people to have weapons of their own. That's where gun control began. Had gun control not began, then, you know, churches being burned in Selma, Alabama, and the lynchings wouldn't have taken place, because the black people would have been armed. Second thing, you cannot walk into a gun store and buy a gun. There is a background check that goes back 5 years, and if there's any mistake or anything questionable, you can't get a firearm. Concealed carry is extremely hard to get. You have to have a safe where a gun is stored, the firearm is stored, and the bullets have to be stored separately. Yeah. The next thing is you can always get firearms off the street. Now, how many murders and homicides are committed with legally registered firearms? Because when you buy a firearm at a gun store, the first thing that happens is the ballistics get tested. So it goes right back to you. If you fire that weapon, that bullet can be traced directly back to you. Now, As for gun-free zones, where there's not allowed guns, that's where all the mass shootings take place. Because if there were no gun-free zones and people had the right to open carry or concealed carry, in fact, the areas that have concealed carry and open carry, violent crimes decrease. No criminal legally buys a weapon that has the serial number registered and the ballistics registered and commits a crime, because it goes right back to them. The idea, we need more gun control legislation. Every single gun control legislation is on the books right now. They just need to be enforced. There's no more reason for it. Well, why do you need firearm or weapons? Well, it's in the Constitution. It's the Second Amendment. And people who talk about, it says something about the militia, a well-regulated militia. You know, that comma there wasn't there for stylistic purposes. All citizens have the right to bear arms, and it is to repel a repressive state, and it is to protect your own property. Without the Second Amendment, First Amendment means nothing. And if you come to the United States and you're ever around anybody who legally owns firearms, rifles, handguns, some of the nicest people, and once you fire a firearm, you immediately know that the end of that muzzle can destroy something. And it doesn't cause you, I want to go out and shoot somebody. It actually puts fear in you, and you don't want to hurt anybody. But if an intruder's breaking into your house, what are you going to do? Should the nurses that work in the inner city in Chicago, shouldn't they have concealed carry? Because the criminals don't care about breaking the law. They can get weapons illegally, easily. So, when I hear people from other countries or Europe or whatever poking their heads into, America with all its guns and everything, there are more gun crimes in Glasgow, in London. I mean, it's ridiculous. How, for people who are out there from Ireland, what would have happened if gun control were strict? I mean, if the IRA did not have weapons, you wouldn't have an Irish Free State today. You wouldn't have 26 liberated counties. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. The idea that a man can't own a weapon to protect his wife and daughters on his own property. And anybody who has anything to say about the Trayvon Martin issue, that stand your ground, it had nothing to do with stand your ground. George Zimmerman, who is half Puerto Rican, half Jewish, was being beaten to death. And he pulled his gun out and shot the guy who was trying to murder him. So, that's the fifth thing. These are 5 things Europeans should have some semblance of knowledge about before they come to the United States and start berating and judging and, talking a whole bunch of shit.